In this massive AI gold rush, all the attention seems to go to the chip makers and the software wizards. But what if one of the biggest winners is actually a company you've probably never even heard of? Today, we're going to dive into how a giant landlord named SEGRO is quietly building the actual physical foundation for the entire AI revolution. Yeah, we hear constantly about AI chips, right? But think about it for a second. All that incredible processing power, it needs something way more basic just to exist. So what's the most fundamental physical thing this whole revolution is built on? Yep, you got it. It comes down to raw physical space and just incredible amounts of power. You simply can't run a massive AI model in the cloud without a very real, very big building on the ground. And that, right there, is where a company like SEGRO steps into the picture. But before we get into their huge bet on the future, we've got to understand where they are right now. And for SEGRO, 2025 wasn't just a good year. It was a straight-up record-breaking year. It shows this company is standing on incredibly solid ground. First off, get this, £99 million in new rent signed. That's the value of all the new leases they signed, and it's the highest number in the company's entire history. I mean, it even smashed the record they set during the pandemic-fueled e-commerce boom. That just shows you how intense the demand is for what they've got. And all that crazy demand, well, it flowed right down to the bottom line. Their adjusted earnings per share grew by a really impressive 6.1%. This is exactly the kind of healthy, steady growth that tells you the business is firing on all cylinders. So you might be wondering, how full are their buildings? Well, they're pretty much packed to the rafters. An occupancy rate of nearly 95% means their properties are in super high demand and are consistently churning out reliable income. Okay, so where is all this success coming from? To understand that, we need to look at the foundation, the core of SEGRO's business. At its heart, it's basically a modern landlord for our 21st century economy. What they do is own and manage these huge modern warehouses and logistics hubs. And their business is being pushed forward by these massive trends that aren't going away. We're all buying more stuff online, companies are desperate to make their supply chains more efficient, and more of us are living in cities, needing things delivered faster than ever. And here's why that's so important. This logistics business isn't just a business. It's a stable, cash-generating engine. It's the financial firepower, the war chest, that lets SEGRO make a much, much bigger bet on what's coming next. And this, right here, is the most exciting part of the whole story. SEGRO is taking everything it knows about owning these massive, power-hungry buildings and aiming it directly at the heart of the AI revolution, the data center gold rush. Just look at this number for a second. 2.5 gigawatts. That's the sheer power capacity of the land that SEGRO has lined up for future data centers. To put that in perspective, that's enough juice to power millions of homes. In a world that is starving for electricity, having control of that much power is a massive, massive strategic advantage. So, traditionally, the way SEGRO operated in this space was by building what's called a powered shell. You can think of it like this. They build the big, empty box, they get the power and the fiber optics hooked up, and then the tenant, a big tech company, comes in and installs all of their own servers and cooling stuff. But that was the old way. Now they're shifting gears and moving aggressively into a new model, the fully fitted data center. This is the whole shebang, a completely turnkey solution. SEGRO handles everything. The building, all the complex cooling systems, the electrical gear. The tenant literally just has to show up and slide their servers into the racks. Now, this move is a huge strategic trade-off. The old powered shell model, it's lower risk, it's faster, but it's also lower profit. This new fully fitted model is way more complex. It costs a lot more money up front, but the potential payday on the other side is significantly higher. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO, David Sleeth, said it himself. He believes this new approach could generate up to 3 times more profit than the old one. That right there is the massive financial carrot that's driving this entire strategy. Of course, a pivot this big doesn't come without risks. I mean, these are hugely expensive projects. We're talking hundreds of millions of pounds. It also takes longer to actually start seeing the rental income, about 18 to 24 months longer. And just the sheer complexity of funding and building these things is a major challenge. So how do you manage that kind of risk? Well, SEGRO has a very disciplined 3-step playbook. First, they build on prime land they already own.
Second, they sell off some of their older, more stable properties and recycle that cash into these new high-growth projects. And third, they partner up with experts in joint ventures to share the huge costs and the execution risk. It's a pretty smart way to go about it.
So, when you put this all together, what does the future of SEGRO really look like? Well, it looks like a company that's being propelled forward not by one, but by two really powerful and complementary engines of growth. On one side, you have the core, their incredibly reliable logistics business, just chugging along, fueled by the steady growth of e-commerce. And on the other side, you have the catalyst, the high-octane data center business, which is aiming for explosive growth by providing the absolute essential plumbing for the entire AI economy. And this all leads to one final huge question. Are we watching a company that was once just a landlord of big sheds transform into the indispensable physical backbone for the entire AI economy? Because when you look at their strategy, everything suggests that is exactly the bet they're making.